What's up, family? Welcome to Ask to My Odds.
Where we challenge you to stop playing and start pushing.
All right, y'all. Hey, we just wanted to talk real briefly about an episode of...
You wanted to talk real briefly about...
Yeah, I mean, and I thought that we agreed to discuss it.
I'm fine when you lead because I don't really know where you're going with this.
Okay, well...
But we're talking about...
Yeah, we're talking about the episode of Iyanla Fix My Life that just recently came on and had DMX on there. There were several things in that episode and a couple of subsequent videos that we've seen pertaining to that particular show. And I just wanted to highlight and lift up some points that we noticed or that I noticed from that show that I think would be pertinent to just really understanding some dynamics that occur in relationships. The first thing that I wanted to make people aware of is that whenever you're dealing with somebody who has experienced trauma, you always, you want to tread lightly, you want to tread cautiously, and you also want to be mindful that there's always the possibility of re-traumatization occurring. And so, one thing that Iyanla was trying to get DMX to do was to tell a new story. Mm-hmm. Because it was her perspective and perception that, he kept on reliving the same story.
Which is true.
Yeah, which is true. And that right there also fosters a sense of re-traumatization over and over again.
Helplessness.
And helplessness. But what DMX said in that moment was that there's value in that story. There's value in that history. So he didn't see the need to put that story down. And so I think that there's value in both perspectives. Mm-hmm. It's good to relive, but at the same time, too, it's good to put down, too. And so many of you all who are in relationships are finding yourself in spaces where, you're looking at your past experiences and you're stuck. You're stuck.
Yeah, they're reliving their past experience. I don't know that we want them to relive.
Well, I mean,
they're on an ongoing basis. You do it intentionally in order to let it go, but you may want to revisit.
That's true.
Certain parts of it, but I don't know that you want to relive it.
Yeah, but some people are stuck in patterns and pathologies based off of past experiences that just really have them stuck. They're stuck in a space of not knowing how to move forward, and they relive that because, number one, it's comfortable. Mm-hmm. It's comfortable, it's familiar, and, we're challenging you to move beyond that space and, really replay a new tape or develop a new tape so you can replay that over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. That was one thing that I noticed. In addition to that, the father-son dynamic is so... what's the word I want to use?
Can I say something before you go there?
Go ahead.
So in the same vein of what my husband is talking about, another way to look at that is, we all have our stories. And a lot of times there are little catchy slogans out here in the mental health world and in the personal development world about telling your story. Tell your story. If you tell your story, you can heal somebody else. And that is very true. But the thing, again, to be careful about is that you do not let your story define you, define who you are, and that you don't become attached to that story in an unhealthy way so that you cannot see yourself outside of how that story captures you and how that story promotes you and puts you out there. If you were a victim of abuse or you were this or that and you overcame, and that's the story you tell and you stop right there, then you're always in that place and in that space. So it's important to tell your story, but it's important to always keep it in perspective and realize that it is a story. It's separate and apart from you. It is not who you are. And many folks, including myself, it's hard when you've been through some things. Mm-hmm. It's kind of who, if you feel like it's who you are, it's what I've been through. It's what I have to offer. I have insight. I have understanding about this thing because this is my story, right? What's the song? This is my story. This is my song, right? People feel that thing. But you got to know that the story is not who you are. And in order to create a new story, you've got to be able to keep that one in perspective and realize that it is not your arm or your leg. It is separate and apart from you. And you got to be able to tell a new story. So anyway, I just wanted to add that piece.
So in that episode, that was one piece of significance, just seeing value in both perspectives. Mm-hmm. There was also a very interesting question that Iyanla asked DMX. She said, where is God when you're smoking crack?
Oh, I love that question.
And what was his response?
Right there. Ain't that what he said? I don't know if that's what those were his exact words. Right there with me. That right there. Do y'all get it before we even break that thing down? How profound that was. When he said that, I was like, No, he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, he didn't. That was wisdom.
Yeah, it actually reminds me of a.
We're not condoning or anything like that, but it was still wisdom.
It reflected a certain level of awareness. It reminds me of there's a book out there called Conversations with God, and that book pretty much encapsulates that entire idea that wherever I am, God is. And so even if you're in the bottom of the bottomless pits, going through a state of despair, if you feel hopeless, helpless, if you just feel like just shit out of luck, essentially what the book is saying and what DMX said right there is that God is right there with me.
Always.
And so even though my circumstances don't look good, don't look great, look horrible, God is still right there with me. And so I think that's something that's important for you all to internalize is that regardless of what you're going through, God is right there with you.
And for those, because we know we have followers who may be atheists, who may not be all into God, basically, think about it like this, because what God represents for many people is a sense of hope, certainty, transcendence, faith, that kind of thing. So wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, hope is always there. Possibilities are always there. Think about that in whatever way is comfortable for you. But that was powerful because there is no place where hope isn't, where God isn't, where possibilities don't exist. There is no place. And I thought that was powerful.
And again, we're not condoning the behavior.
Yeah, and I don't even know if he was thinking about it all like that. But the bottom line is, it was truth. It was what it was.
And actually, to be honest with you too, at the beginning of the interview, I actually thought that DMX was on something. Even though she asked him the question and he said no. And
yeah, I was like, if he ain't on nothing, that man, wow.
Yeah, but I think that the jittery motions and the movements and the infrequent eye contact, it was probably based off of the fact that he had his guards up. If he wasn't,
isn't he kind of like that all the time though?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, but I think that and see also too that I mean, keep in mind that video was edited. I mean, that show was edited, so there was probably some stuff that occurred before as well as prior to that particular point where he might have had his guards up. He was in a space of war, state of defense, and he was just really not really trying to let her in. So just keep that in mind. In addition to all of that we've already said, the father-son dynamic. I mean, it's a real touchy one, a real sensitive one. And if he hadn't seen his son in over a year and a half, and he was unaware that his son was there, which he said that he was unaware that his son was there.
Did he say that on the show, or are you thinking about the other video?
I'm thinking about the other video. We saw another video that was on jet.com or something like that. Yeah. Where he was talking about his frustration and how he just did not like the interview at all. And he wasn't down with it.
And that he wasn't aware. He said it was supposed to be about his addiction, as he called it, to women. Yeah. But that he wasn't aware, nor did he sign off on it being about his son being a part of the process. So, because my thought was, dude, you on her show, what you talking about? Something, be quiet. Like, you on her show, so you have to be, a part of her process. But he's saying that he did not even know that was going to be happening, and that it was a setup. And that she was sneaky.
Yeah, so we thought that it was, to be honest, I mean, at least my perspective is that it was a failure on her part to really be aware and to know who he is and just be sensitive to that dynamic. So, when he was talking to his son, it was like she was trying to interfere. She was intervening and speaking on, or just in his son's ear, whispering on his behalf and trying to get him to say certain things. And as a father, if I haven't seen my son for a year and a half, I don't want to have a conversation with you. I want to speak to my son. I don't want to talk to you. So I understand the anger and the frustration, but what I don't understand is how he went hard. How he went on.
How?
I don't understand how he went on her.
Very good.
I understand why, but I don't understand how. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there's nothing at all that...
He said that he's never talked to a woman
Yeah, there's no reason that justifies you speaking to a female in that particular way. So he was just straight out disrespectful. It's unacceptable. And, it's really not cool for him to be going on her like that. She doesn't deserve that. And she's a highly respected and well-regarded figure in our community. So, I mean, I got much love for Iyanla, but at the same time, too, she probably should have pumped...
You said Iyanla.
Iyanla. She probably should have pumped her brakes just a little bit more, just recognizing the significance of the moment.
Well, my husband just wanted to come to you, both of us.
My husband, both of us?
Yeah. because I am you and you are me. No, but we just wanted to come and share a little bit of our thoughts about that episode. So many things, and I guess probably the biggest thing that stood out to me was just the fact that this is a child who he's told his story in different places.
Hold up.
I am referencing. Let me finish my sentence.
This is a what?
This is a child. Do you hear me? What I'm saying, when I'm thinking about a person who has been traumatized, who is in pain, who is clearly, I don't like to use the word dysfunctional because we all have some dysfunction in some way, but clearly has some of that stuff going on. I think back, and so do you, to their childhood. And
but this is a man. He's a man. He's not a child.
Do you remember me completing the sentence before you jumped in?
No.
Let me go back and try to do that. Let me do that.
You can start the sentence by saying this is a man.
If I'm talking to staff of mine and we're processing a person and some of the dynamics that they've dealt with, what I will say is, and what I'm saying now is, this is a child who was abandoned at the time. He's not a man. I'm not talking about him from his man space. I'm talking about that this is a person who, when he was a child, this is a person who, when he was a child. That's a little bit better. I mean, you should know me better than that. I'm not calling him a child. I'm not calling him a child right now.
Iyanla and Iyanla got a few similarities here when it comes to like going on DMX.
How am I going on DMX?
Because you calling him a child.
I'm more of a fan of DMX than you are.
I mean, yeah, true.
So let's keep that real.
But I'm just saying that. I mean,
let's keep that real.
This is a child. This is a person.
I'm not saying he's a child in today. You know that. You're just trying to start something.
Don't use that language.
This is a child.
No. We're not going there.
I'm saying when he was a child. Is that better?
That's a lot better.
Right. When he was a child, this was a child. When he was a child, this was a child. Is that better?
All right, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I mean, seriously.
You gotta tread lightly, bro.
Dude,
you gotta tread lightly.
Yeah, I gotta tread lightly because some people have chips.
Nah,
they carry on their shoulders, chips. And I know that sometimes that is a historical chip for Black men.
We're not boys.
Yeah, so that's a historical chip, is it not? So I'm going to step back because it is a chip, but it is a understandable chip based on the history of African American men in this country. So I'm going to make sure I step back because that's not the intention of what I was saying, but clearly it can be perceived that way, particularly when folks are very sensitive because they have the chip. Okay, so let me move on. Okay,
be clear.
But
clear.
Yeah, I'm clear on where it comes from. That's why I can step back. Okay,
I appreciate that.
Yes, but did I help you to understand?
Go ahead.
So
I don't have the chip. I don't have the chip.
Meat on your shoulder.
I just want respect.
I'm make sure
a man wants respect.
Yeah, but this woman is always giving you respect and always giving Black men respect. But I'm not addressing him as a child. What I explained to you, but you were not able to accept, is that I was getting ready to talk about some of the dynamics that happened to him when he was a child. Okay.
When this man was a child.
So when you're describing a situation, what you will say is, when you're painting that picture, particularly to folks who you are teaching about something, and usually when I'm talking to other clinicians and mental health folks, I'm saying, this is a child who and you can see him in that light. You can understand what it was like for him and what happened to him at that space and in that time. It enables you to be able to take off the judgment, take off the lens, and be able to really clearly view where this came from and what happened. And then you have him grow into an adolescent and a young man, and then you see how those behaviors and those maladaptive kind of things continue to grow and blossom in different kinds of ways. But you know what? I've already taken up too much time, so I won't do that. I won't go there. Stop playing. Start pushing.